Lights are on a brand new day. We're fired up and leading the way. Every classroom, every dream. One strong district, one great team. Bullpups ready, barking loud. Bobcats making all of us proud. Roadrunners racing toward what's next. Panthers rising to.
Have you heard this song?
I have not.
Guess who that is?
I don't know.
This is Don Foley. This is the Flagler School's new theme song.
That's Don Foley singing?
Flagler Forward.
Who's performing?
Don Foley.
As the singer?
Who knows? It's probably AI. Anyway, Don Foley, great. He sent that out this morning and said, can we get some airplay with this? So it's Flagler Forward, and school starts already on Monday, and holy cow, things are moving along. Hey, I wanted to bring in our special guest this morning, Randy Fine, our congressman here in District 6 for Florida. And good morning, Randy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're on Zoom, but thanks a lot. We appreciate you joining us. And if you want to watch, you can. We're on YouTube, Flagler Radio YouTube, also on our WNZF Facebook page, Instagram, and broadcasting on AM, FM radio. And also we will podcast all this back. So anyway, Randy, he's our 6th district congressman. And I thought it was so cool, just talking a little bit before here, is he doesn't like being told what questions we're going to ask. So we're going to do what we call lightning round. We're going to bounce all over the world with you, Randy. Are you ready for that?
That's great. And the reason is it's just not authentic. I mean, if you can't answer questions from people when they ask them in real time, then you shouldn't be in this job. And one of the behind the scenes thing I told you is in Washington, most of the interviews that I end up doing, they tell you the subjects in advance. And I tell my team, I don't want to know. Maybe they'll tell you, but don't tell me, because as a former speech and debate champion from long ago, it's sort of part of what makes the job fun. So ask whatever you want. I'm ready to go.
Well, I was impressed that, because I didn't know a whole lot about you other than what, like everybody else, what you hear in the news and see in the news. But the fact that you were raised by, so that was about Randy Fine childhood here. And the son of 2 public school teachers. Education was the household culture. Jewish faith has been central in your identity and politics and everything. You graduated magna cum laude degree in government, Harvard Business School, MBA, high distinction, named one of the youngest Baker Scholars. And at the age of 40, you, after starting businesses in retail, technology, and hospitality, you retired at age 40. Tell me, how did all this happen so fast?
Well, I think, need is a great motivator. So I grew up, as you said, the son of 2 public school teachers. My mom was a middle school teacher. My dad was a college professor at a public university, but my father's blind. And so we had sort of limited, we only had 1 car. My mom had to drive us all around. And when I went off to college, I went off without a lot of money. And so I started a business when I was 19 years old to try to make some money. It just turned out to be a better idea than I thought. And so over 22 years, I started, built, and grew multiple businesses. And that went great. I was pretty good at it. But when my kids were born, my oldest son, my youngest son, I was traveling so much that I missed them. And so when my wife asked me what I wanted for my 40th birthday, I told her I wanted to retire. And that's what I did. And I had the best 8 months of my life after I retired. All I did was watch TV and play with my kids. And then one day my wife said, either you're going to find something else to do, or I'm going to find somewhere else to live. And so that's how I ended up, in the legislature. But I think there's value in that, which is people who don't need politics as a job or a career, but see it as a form of giving back. And that's how I've always approached it. In my mind, my career was in business. This is just something I do to try to help people.
Well, in your retirement short period of time there, it said you were involved with the Boy Scouts. You were a Cub Master, assistant Cub Master.
Actually, that wasn't when I was retired. I do that right now. So I'm perhaps the only elected official in America who served as an elected official and a Cub Master, and then as an assistant Scout Master. So I'm very involved in scouting with my 2 sons. I'm very proud. My oldest is an Eagle Scout, and my youngest is pretty close to getting that done. So I'm actively involved right now, and have remained as I've been elected.
It used to always be the Boy Scouts were for boys, and then they changed. And they got sued for whatever and everything. But to me, Boy Scouts, boys should have a place to be boys without girls. So why is it that the Boy Scouts suddenly allowed, girls into the camps and doing things and all that. There's other places that boys and girls can do that, but shouldn't the Boy Scouts be for boys?
So that's a great question. And by the way, I was pretty upset about it when they made that decision. And I will tell you, I turned out to be wrong. It was a great decision. And I'll give you 2 reasons and then one little fact to know. You think there's Boy Scouts and there's Girl Scouts, right? Girl Scouts do not let fathers be involved. So if you're a dad and you have a daughter and you want to be involved in scouting, you can't do Girl Scouts. Now, they do it as a youth protection thing, which I sort of understand, right? They don't want men hanging around little girls that aren't their own. But you can't do Girl Scouting with your daughter. The other thing is Girl Scout programming is very different than Boy Scout programming. It's not as much outdoorsy and camping and shooting and archery. So if your daughter wants to do that sort of thing, they can't really find that in Girl Scouts. So if you're a dad who wants to be involved with scouting with your daughter, this is the way to do it. Now, the compromise the Boy Scouts made is they said troops have to be separated. So you have troops for boys and you have troops for girls. And in the end, I actually concluded that while it does have downsides, you've got to kind of keep watch of the teenage boys and the teenage girls, the opportunities for fathers to be involved in the lives of their daughters in the outdoors and in the wilderness, it's a net positive. And so my initial opposition, I turned out to be wrong.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Haven't heard that one. We've talked about this before on the show, Brian. So
Yeah, it's just scouting too right now. It's not really called Boy Scouts anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, I still call it Boy Scouts. And by the way, the other reason they did it is for money. Look, as the left has demonized organizations that engage in patriotism, which is fundamental to scouting, as they've demonized organizations that believe in God, you cannot be a scout if you do not believe in God. Now, you can be many faiths, but if you do not believe in God, you can't be a scout. And so as they've demonized those kinds of organizations, membership has gone down. And frankly, I think allowing girls in has helped, from a financial perspective. But so it's a middle ground. I understand some of the opposition, but in the end, I actually concluded it's a net positive.
Young people today, let's kind of switch to a more of a national thing here. Is it mostly the young people that are really buying into the socialism and the Democratic Socialist Party and everything? I mean, or is it overplayed in the media? But it seems like there's some real footing to this, and who's buying into that this is the future?
Yeah. So look, they always say that, if you're not a liberal when you're 20, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're 40, you have no brain. That's always been the case. Young people tend to be super liberal. Then they get a paycheck and they get taxes taken out and they say, oh my God, what's going on? I think that's exacerbated today. Largely, I think because of social media. And the internet. I think social media net is incredible positive for people. I always talk about how I use it to help my constituents during hurricanes, for example. But it has been used as a propaganda vehicle by many people, and they have been led to believe that they're entitled to other people's money. I also think there's a breakdown in societal values. When I was 19 and I didn't have any money, I didn't look to the government to give it to me. I went out and I made it myself. And I think we have bred a sense of entitlement in this country that people believe they are entitled to things that they aren't. It is okay to scrap. It is okay to go out and struggle and fight and build. No one should give you anything on a silver platter. And so I think we have some societal issues that I think that we have to deal with as a country with these folks. But the bottom line is, anywhere socialism and communism have been tried, it has not worked. People have died. It has destroyed society. And we need to stand up and be clear. So it's not going to work here.
So you think the pendulum will swing? Because, when we were young, when I was, younger back in the 70s and things, the older people are always telling us how bad and how wrong and how, our beliefs and everything were. And then here we are now at our age and we're saying to the young people, is it all the same? It just seems so different to us. Or is it different the way, the timeline has gone here, Randy?
Well, I think there is some degree. I think every generation. I think the parents of the children of the '60s were horrified, by the hippies. I think when Elvis came along 10 years earlier, everyone was horrified. I think it's just the nature of living. But it is our job as responsible adults to explain to younger people why these policies simply do not work. I was just in Venezuela last week as part of the first congressional delegation to go to Venezuela since the fall of Maduro. And that is a country that tried socialism. And by the way, it should be one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And it failed. And it didn't fail because they don't have resources. They do. They have tons of oil. It failed because when the government tried to control everything through socialism, it simply doesn't work. So we just need to talk about it over and over and over again. But not only socialism, the rise of mainstream Islam in the United States as well. And these two sides have really unified to create a red-green alliance. That's something that I think is a real threat to our country. And it's certainly something that I fight back against every day.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Brian?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, your observation that a lot of people have developed this sense of entitlement, especially maybe they're encouraged, at a younger age. I think that there's a lot of truth to that, but I also think that one thing that people are upset about is the income inequality, which has further and further widened, over time. And you see the worse off seem to be getting worse, and the more wealthy seem to be getting more wealthy. And so I was just wondering, do you feel like that there are any kind of policies or that there are ways to kind of address that? Because I do think that's a real concern that people have, and you can see data that kind of shows how it has widened, for, I don't know all the reasons, but what's your thought on income inequality?
Well, I challenge the premise of your question. So so my parents, when they grew up as middle class Americans. My parents lived in a house where they had to share bedrooms with their siblings, where there was one bathroom available for the entire family. There was one TV available for the entire family. And they were lucky if there was one car for the entire family. In the United States today, even lower income folks generally have multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, multiple cars, multiple televisions. So even if you look at sort of the lower end of the scale, it's demonstrably better than it was decades ago. Now, does that mean that there isn't income equality? Sure. But it is the desire to make money that creates the technologies and the applications and the opportunities that exist. So let's just use one example. Think about how our lives have changed through GPS. We don't use maps anymore. We can use Google Maps and things like that. The people who invented that made a lot of money. The people who've invented AI, Google, the kind of technology we use, make a lot of money. If you take that incentive away, people will stop. One of the reasons that I stopped working when I turned 40 is Barack Obama made a statement when he was president that if you built a business, you didn't build that. And he said that when I was paying 50% of my income in taxes. I worked 6 months of the year to give that money to the government. I only got to keep what I earned from July to December, but January, February, March, April, May, and June, I worked for the government. And I worked hard and I built my businesses by myself. And then Barack Obama, who's never built a thing in his life, comes along and says, you didn't build that? I was like, fine, then I'll stop. And I did. And so I think that people need to stop focusing on the wealthy and say, how do I become wealthy? That's what makes America great. You can start as a poor kid from Kentucky, as I did, and you can retire at 40. I'm not special. I didn't have connections. I just went and I worked really hard. And that's the America we want people to focus on, of not being angry at people that are wealthy. We want them to say, how do I become wealthy? And I think that is what too many people get lost in.
They call you the Hebrew Hammer. Was that, do you like that, not like that, or what? Because you've always out front. You know, your Jewish faith, you've been proud of it and you present it, and you do feel like we're being invaded and under attack. So the name Hebrew Hammer, where'd that come from, and what's your take on that?
Well, it was a nickname that was given to me when I was in the Florida House for 8 years. Then I was in the Florida Senate for legally 3 minutes. I don't do anything else in 3 minutes, and I can talk about how that happened. Then I was in Congress. But when I was in the Florida House, my friend and colleague, and ironically now the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Joe Gruters, gave me that nickname, and he did it because of my advocacy for things related to Jewish people, but also because I'm very aggressive. I'm willing to say it like it is. Joe also said I had the strongest right hook in politics, and I actually fought the nickname for a while, but I finally said, it's a pretty good nickname. I might as well embrace it. And I'm proud of being Jewish. I think we can all live together in America quite successfully. But, I'm also proud that I'm willing to be blunt and aggressive. And I think we need more of that in politics today.
You get a lot of pushback in some of the quotes that you said that Ilhan Omar has spent years in Congress telling us how great socialism would be in America. Do those really influence, or with education, has that socialist been part of the curriculum for years under our noses and didn't really know? Is all these different things kind of bubbling up to where we are today?
No, I think the left has been focused for 50 years on destroying the country. I think it's by permeating our institutions, by trying to take over our education system, our government system, our charitable systems, our credentialing systems, to inject this into our bloodstream. I think it's coupled with they've tried to change our culture by making people not feel self-reliant, but becoming reliant on the government. And I think the third thing they've done is they've tried to flood our country with people from other places that do not share our values, that do not seek to be American, but seek to instill their values on us and fundamentally change the United States of America. Ilhan Omar is a great example. She's not from America. She was from a wealthy family in Somalia, a military family that killed a lot of people. And she's come to America, and she clearly hates America. So she's here to destroy America, not make America successful. And that's really what's changed in our immigration system in this country.
So do you really think that she wakes up and says, I would like to try to destroy America today? I mean, I think this is one
absolutely.
of the problems
that's absolutely what I believe. Yes.
I mean,
and by the way, she's very clear about it. She says it herself. She says it herself.
She says, I want to destroy America.
She says herself that she believes America is an evil place. She talks about Somalia, about helping Somalia. It is anyone who believes that Ilhan Omar loves America and seeks the betterment of America, needs an education. Absolutely. And these are her words. This is part of our problem in our country. We don't listen to the bad people when they say what they say. We hear their words and we go, they don't actually mean that. They couldn't possibly believe that. And she does.
So what about, you've been highly criticized for saying, let them starve, right? I think I'm getting that correctly. A lot of people interpreted that as that you don't really care if there are kids in Gaza who are starving to death, regardless, no matter who did what to make them in that situation, that you felt like it was okay for kids to starve and didn't really care. Do you feel that way about those kids, or do you feel like do you feel that way about those kids?
Well, I think you have to give the full statement. So there was a claim, by the way, a false claim. That's part of the issue. A false claim that kids were starving Gaza. Do you know which area of the Middle East? It was just released in the last few days. Do you know which area in the Middle East has the lowest rate of malnutrition for kids under the age of 5?
I don't know, but I did see a lot of compelling images and video.
No. You didn't. That's the thing. What you
so
saw
those were all fake,
what you saw was staged. What you saw was staged photographs, and the picture that I made fun of when I made that comment was a staged photograph. Gaza has the lowest rate of malnutrition for kids under the age of 5 in the Middle East, far lower than Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and even Israel. The lowest. Why? Because of all the aid that's poured in. But what I said at the time was People were like, give food to Gaza, give food to Gaza. And my statement was, and I stand by it, Gaza was holding hostages. They were holding Israeli hostages. And my view is, if you start a war and you are losing that war, and you don't like what losing that war means, then you surrender in that war. And I do not believe that you should feed the enemy. So my view was that Gaza should release if they wanted the food, release the hostages. And I stand by that. We didn't in World War II go, golly gee, the Nazis are hungry. How do we deliver them food? We didn't go, golly gee, the Japanese are hurting because we're fighting with them. How do we deliver their food? No, we saw evil in the world and we defeated it. And that's exactly the way we should deal with these things as well.
All right. The Save America Act. You voted against it?
No, never. That's something that people have started to say. I don't know why. I guess like when you have nothing else to say, you lie. The Save America Act has been up for a vote 6 times. In my time in the House, I've voted for it all 6 times. I've never voted against it. And not only that, a number of months ago, I got very frustrated because we're passing this bill, which people overwhelmingly want in the House. We're passing it 6 times, and the Senate wouldn't take it up. And their excuse was filibuster, filibuster, filibuster. So I organized a letter where I said, until the Senate passes the Save America Act, I won't vote for any Senate bills on any subject. I did that 6 months ago. And by the way, I kept my word. And interestingly, the House stopped bringing up Senate bills as a result, to the point that one senator this week complained about the fact that we're not taking up Senate bills. So no, I'm one of President Trump's strongest advocates. It's why he endorsed me 3 times in 3 years. And that's just it's a complete and utter fabrication. I voted for it every time. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill.
Well, it's crazy how it's all over that was what it was. I searched a couple of AIs and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Randy Fine voted. I mean,
it's a lie. It's a lie. But you know, when people have nothing else to say, that's what they do. It's simply untrue.
Hey, I got to take a quick break. Can Randy Fine, can you hang with us while we pay a few bills? Because we are capitalists here.
All right, that's good. Then I've got to stick around.
Okay, great. And we'll be right back. We're going to throw some questions at you that our listeners have texted in, and we'll go from there. So Randy Fine, our guest here. We'll be right back. And with, let's see, with Brian McMillan. And this is our new theme song for Flagler Schools.
Every dream, one strong district, one great team. Bullpups ready, barking loud. Bobcats making all of us proud.
Hi, I'm Christy Chong, your Flagler County School Board member for District 4. I'm proud to share that Flagler Schools has earned an A rating. With proven leadership, we're delivering excellence in education for our kids. Vote Christy Chong August 18th, and let's keep Flagler Schools moving forward. Paid for and approved by Christy Chong for Flagler School Board, District 4.
Hi, this is Flagler County Commissioner Greg Hansen. I'm here to tell you why Paul Renner should be our next governor. Paul is the past Speaker of the Florida House, a Navy combat veteran, and a strong family man. Paul is a champion for parental rights, gun rights, reduction of home insurance costs, and stopping massive AI data centers. These are not platitudes. He has a strong record of achieving results. Along with Governor DeSantis, Paul was the architect of Free Florida. Before you vote, please investigate the candidates for governor. Paul Renner is the only choice.
Paid for by Paul Renner, Republican for governor.
I'm Paul Renner, and I approve this message.
Hi folks, Bill Gallagher with SolarFit here. Have you ever thought about utilizing solar power for your home or business? Well, there's never been a better time to plug into the sun and stop renting electricity. How would you like to let your roof start paying you each month? Give us a call at 445-7606. That's 445-7606, or visit us at solarfit.com and set yourself free.
SolarFit your life and set yourself free with the sun's free energy.
Palm Coast has been my home for over 40 years. I'm Tony Amaral Jr. I grew up here. My wife and I raised our kids here, and now our 2 grandchildren are growing up here too. As a local small business owner, I know what it takes to manage a budget and get things done. I'm running for Palm Coast City Council District 2 to protect our community's future. I'm Tony Amaral Jr., and I'd appreciate your vote on August 18th.
Paid for and approved by Tony Amaral Jr., candidate for Palm Coast City Council District 2.
Experience matters. Jill Woolbright is the only candidate in this race with both classroom and school board experience. She's proudly endorsed by the Flagler County Republican Executive Committee and the Republican Party of Florida.
I'm Jill Woolbright. For 28 years, I've served students, parents, and teachers in the classroom, and I've had the privilege of serving on the Flagler School Board. I understand the challenges our schools face because I've lived them. I'd be honored to continue serving our community. Please vote Jill Woolbright for School Board District 1 on August 18th.
Paid for and approved by Jill Woolbright for School Board District 1.
All right, we don't have to pay royalties on the school board. Not the school board, the Flagler Schools new song by Don Foley. All right, we're back, and Congressman Randy Fine with us here this morning for a few more minutes. I know, Randy, you've got to break away at the 40 or something. Is that true?
Yeah, I just asked my person who's picking me up to let me know when they get here. So I'll let you know when they
Okay.
show up. Happy to answer your questions until then.
Okay, here's some that were sent in by listeners that maybe not. We don't know what it says you voted against the Sunshine Protection Act, which is basically keeping daylight savings time forever. You voted against it, true or false?
Completely false. I actually voted for it in Congress, and I voted for it when I was in the legislature to put us in a position. I absolutely believe, like I think the overwhelming majority of people in Florida, that we need to stop moving the clock around. So that's completely false.
Huh. Okay. It's amazing how much inaccurate stuff is on here.
Yep.
Well, it's a good thing we have Randy Fine to fact check with us here.
Yeah, not true.
Okay.
Well, look, when you're in a campaign and you don't have anything to say, you just make up lies that are going to be, sound really bad. And I mean, I'm an incredibly conservative ally of Donald Trump who works really hard. So there's really not a good reason not to vote for me. So you got to come up with a good one. And so they just make stuff up.
All right. Let's see. Another one here was, okay. Well, and this was from a county official who doesn't want to be named, so I won't name them. FEMA is notoriously slow to reimburse, and our beach renourishment money that Flagler County has to put out, and it takes FEMA forever to cut a check. Why is that? And can you please help?
So it's absolutely true. So the way it works is there's hurricane damage. FEMA is supposed to reimburse it. The counties and the cities spend a ton of money, and then they wait years and years and years to get it. It's unacceptable. So I've done two things. Actually, as it relates to Flagler, I have personally called the White House and FEMA, and we've gotten $10 million plus released from FEMA that was due them. So I've worked on that issue directly to get some of that funding, and we've done press conferences and announcements about it. The second thing is I am working on legislation that would solve the problem structurally, so that we don't have the problem moving forward. But it absolutely is an issue. It's not right. And what's crazy is in many cases, local governments have to borrow money to pay for this. So then there are interest costs, and FEMA does not reimburse those. So I'm working structurally to solve that problem, as well as on an individual basis to call and say, where's their darn money?
Are you on the House Committee for Education and Workforce?
I am.
Okay, I want to make sure that was true before I ask the next question here. The school, Flagler County is losing students, the public school system, to it, and this person, in so many words, they were in fear that there would be a collapse of the public school system because they're not building new schools, even though there's more people moving in, but they're not going to the public schools. And the school choice, the whole voucher thing. What's your take on that? Is it good or bad for public schools?
So I was responsible for making sure that every student could get every dollar they wanted to go to any school that they want. I was a big proponent of universal school choice. And I believe the purpose of educating kids is educating kids. It's not about creating government-run schools. The government-run schools can compete with the private schools and the charter schools. And if more people want to go to private schools or charter schools or home schools, then the government-run schools need to change in order to accommodate that. But the purpose of our education system is not to create a government bureaucracy. It's to make sure that kids get an education. And I support school choice.
Okay. Brian, do you support school choice?
I do. I like the idea, and I do think the competition is changing how public school districts operate and think about, things, and that they are kind of trying to attract those students and make them happy. I also think that in the end, if I'm curious, like if we could do more to measure, is the educational outcome improving or not based on the school choice? And I think that, I don't know if you feel like there's more that we could do there. I don't know that, all the testing that we do in public schools is the correct amount or whatever, but if you do take the voucher, let's say, and do your own homeschool curriculum or something else, how much should that, how should we evaluate if that was a good thing for our society, with our tax dollars?
Tracking. So tracking results
Yeah.
is your question, to make it short.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think the ultimate tracking is parents. Parents, I believe, overwhelmingly want what's best for their kids. They want their kids to be successful. I think parents that choose to not send their kids to a government school do that because they believe it is in the best interest of their child's education. And I trust parents to make the optimal decisions for their kids, because the fact of the matter is no one's going to ever care about you more than your mom and dad, not some bureaucrat sitting in a central education office somewhere. So I think when we entrust parents, we will end up with the best outcomes. And it's why I support school choice.
Okay. Here's one. Have you ever heard of the Biden Act? This is a Rick Staley question. The Biden Act? Anyway, he's presented under the Biden. Go ahead.
It can't be good because it's named the Biden Act, but no, I haven't heard of it. So and by the way, just so you know, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of bills. There's no way to know what all of them are. So no, I don't know what.
Well, so he applied through the Biden Act. He thought that was kind of an odd name for it too, but for $4.6 million for 29 deputies. So I guess that what the Biden Act does is it gives federal subsidies for fast-growing communities that can't keep up with it to keep them safe. And so he's put into grants so that that here in Flagler County, we could get 29 deputies for $4.6 million. I think it's over 3 years or something like that, so that it would take the load off the local taxpayers and still keep us safe on it. So he wanted to know if there was anything you could do to help it along, because the sheriff's budget is a big deal in Flagler County, as you know.
Yeah, that's a very weird question, and here's why. Sheriff Staley has my cell phone number. If it's something that he wants us to work on, he could have called me himself, and I've never heard of it. So
okay,
I guess I presume he doesn't really want it that much then.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sure you'll be getting a phone call on that one. Let's see, and then also, okay. So what's in the future for Randy Fine? You personally, you've retired at 40, built your business, you got your kids, you got all this kind of stuff going. You're up for re-election for the congressional seat. Where do you want to go? What's the future for Randy Fine? What's your goals?
I don't think about the world. I didn't expect to run for Congress. I mean, if you know my story, the reason I'm in this job is because after I won a seat in the state Senate, President Trump called and asked me to run for this seat. I told him that I would think about it, and then he tweeted out that I was running. And so I got drafted by the president to do this. This was not a lifelong ambition of mine. And my focus is putting my head down and doing the best job that I can for my constituents every day. And the reason is this: I am very worried about the future of our country. I'm very worried. I mean, I see people who want to destroy it, who want to bring socialism, who want to bring communism, who want to let mainstream Islam take over and colonize our country like it has so many other countries around the world. And I say, we've got to fight back against this to save America. We've made it 250 years as the greatest country in the history of the world. I want to make sure we make it for another 250 years. So my focus is just doing the best job as I can as your congressman. That's really what my focus is, and that's what my goals are. And I don't really have any other goals beyond that.
Okay. On that, in surveillance and the FISA Act and all these kind of things, is it, everybody wants their own privacy, and are we beyond the point where we really can be? I just learned about, flock cameras, of course, everybody's talking about. And have you ever heard of smart dust, Randy Fine?
Nope, never heard of that either.
Here, this is. I mean, I've looked it up and I'm blown away by
What
it
is
because
smart dust?
it's a
You know,
mil-
dust
smart-
that like has a brain. I mean,
No, smart does. It's like it was a military top secret thing where like grains of sand or smaller have electronic in them where they can blow it across and they all communicate with each other in a network. And anyway, it's something I never heard of it until I looked it up yesterday, and somebody said, ask them about smart dust. And I'm like, I didn't even heard of it. Anyway, so flock camera. So the whole thing comes on where surveillance of Americans with cameras everywhere you go. Do we just have to put up with it and have that, or should we fight it? Because I don't really care. If somebody's got facial recognition, I don't really care if somebody knows who I went or whatever. But do we need to change our mindset in kind of spying on us, I guess?
I think there's a middle ground. I mean, I think Americans deserve to have their constitutional rights respected, and that's an absolute. We are the freest country in the history of the world, and we need to stay that way. But the flip side is we also live in a dangerous world where there are people both in the United States and outside who wish to kill us and do us harm. And so we need to make sure we have the tools to go after the bad guys. And so it is a delicate balancing act. And that's how I look at it is are we preserving people's constitutional rights, but are we also protecting the nation? And that's, I think, the answer.
Okay, like airport security, we had a guest on who said that, I don't know, well, you travel a lot, is Israel or something like that, where they're like there's hardly any security in the airport, and they go, oh, we know who you were before you even drove on the
Wait, what? Somebody told you there's hardly any security in an airport in Israel?
Well, in other words, they don't see it.
That person's never been to Israel. Then
okay.
That's someone who's never been there. There's no country in the world that you spend longer going through security to get on an air. Having been there a number of times. Oh yeah. No. I mean, you get every person flying out of an Israeli airport gets an interrogation before they get to check in. It is by far the most security of any airport in the world. And so whoever told you that's never been there.
Well, thank you. See, we've learned a lot here. Thanks for setting us straight on so many things.
By the way, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm not judging it. I'm just telling you, I mean, it is hardcore security.
Okay, awesome. Hey, we got to take a break. We got to go. Randy, thank you. I know we're 5-6 minutes over on your time allotment. We're going to check in with Katie, our supervisor of elections, because early voting starts tomorrow on Saturday for some reason.
And I hope everybody gets out and vote. And if you wouldn't mind voting for me, I'd certainly appreciate it.
All right, Randy, fine. Thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it. And you're going to be all around town here. He's going to be in Flagler County this weekend. So, find him and, and you're always willing to talk about everything, anything. And there's no topics that are,
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for serving our country.
My pleasure. Thanks for letting me do it.
All right, Randy, we'll see. All right.
You guys have a great day.
All right, you too. All right, Randy Fine, congressman. He's up for re-election and very controversial, but also nice guy. We'll be right back.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime.
Flagler County is an awesome place to live, and we have so many exciting things to look forward to. Hi, I'm your Flagler County Commissioner, Leanne Pennington. Already we've been able to accomplish many things you may not be aware of. We've funded flood prevention efforts. We've protected environmentally sensitive land throughout the county. We've created new economic development incentives that will create new jobs. And we're one of the safest counties in the state of Florida. I'm Commissioner Leanne Pennington. Thank you for your support.
Congratulations, Flagler County Schools, on earning an A rating.
Flagler County is growing fast. We need proven conservative leadership to protect our quality of life. I'm Teresa Puntieri, a lifelong Republican running for Flagler County Commission. I've fought to lower taxes, reduce government spending, support our first responders, and stand up to overdevelopment. I'm honored to have the endorsement of our Flagler County Sheriff's deputies, our Palm Coast firefighters, and our Republican Senator, Tom Leake. If you want a conservative who will put Flagler County residents and businesses first, I'd be honored to earn your vote on August 18th. Political advertisement paid for and approved by Teresa Puntieri, Republican for Flagler County Commission.
No matter what time you reach out to Craig Flagler Palms Funeral Home and Flagler Memorial Gardens, when you call, you'll talk to a real person on the phone. Every loved one is treated as a special person, cherished by family and friends. Hundreds of families each year choose CFP. Learn more about all their services at DignityMemorial.com.
Hi, I'm Trevor Tucker. As a lifelong Flagler County resident, Father of three, small business owner, and former school board member, I've spent years fighting for strong schools, responsible budgeting, and putting students first. Our community is growing, and our schools need experienced leadership that brings people together, supports teachers, and prepares our children for success. I'm asking for your vote for Flagler County School Board District 4. I'm Trevor Tucker, and I'd be honored to earn your support.
Paid for and approved by Trevor Tucker, nonpartisan candidate for Flagler County District 4.
Free for All Friday. I'm David Ayers, Brian McMillan, my co-pilot, in here
morning.
today, getting ourselves in trouble with everybody. So, anyway, it's so good to get to talk with people and spend time with them, and and Randy Fine. I never really had 30 minutes to sit down and just have a conversation.
It's so crucial to our whole fabric of our society to be able to do that. So I think that's great that he made time, and that. I don't know, like we're talking about, like, the freedom in our country and things like that, like being able to talk to the elected officials directly and ask them whatever we want. And I think that's that's a remarkable thing that we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah. Well, in the local candidates, I love talking with them. We just don't have the time on the primaries here, but we will when we go to the general. On Free for All, we're only really a 45-minute show once a week. And because Pierre takes up 15 minutes of it, but when you
try speeding him up by times 2.
No, he's good on keeping on time. But yeah, to get to know the local candidates and just talking with them, because you only get such a sliver of the pie when you see them either stand up at a council meeting or on a news soundbite or a quote or something. But you've done a great job with the Observer in interviewing them, but you got to sit down and read it. Pierre did a great job with his multimedia this year with Flagler Live with all the candidates, where you can hear them and see them, the ones that decided to participate.
Yeah, I think if you really want to, there is a lot of you can really get to know the candidates. I mean, our role was, we did the election guide, kind of like try to compare them all easily. We've covered a lot of forums, and Pierre did extensive interviews. And, you guys have broadcast those forums too. So, yeah, I think if you really want to know what the candidates are all about, there is information out there to get it.
So the flock gets thinned out in the primaries, and
almost there.
So we're going to check in with Katie Lenhart here. Maybe she doesn't recognize the number. She said to give her a call. Here, see if you can find her on mine there. Call her cell phone because she's out getting ready. But the early voting is, here's the thing is, if you haven't done your homework and you haven't looked at everybody, challenge yourself to, why am I voting for this person, or why am I not voting for that person? But go to the Observer and check them out and make sure and say, okay, this, reinforces why I feel that way about that candidate. That is why I'm voting for him. But then look at their, competitors as well and say, well, maybe. So just be open-minded to it before you fill out that ballot. And tomorrow is the first day for early voting. And so if you haven't done your homework and you haven't really checked out everybody, because you're kind of building your team, it's like, all right, this is the team we're going to be building for Flagler County politically. And, we need to pick the best players. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at things that are happening right now in the city council, for example, there's 3-2 votes about the westward expansion that are taking place. So it really does matter, how, if you feel strongly about one way or another, then make your voice heard.
Okay. Make your voice heard. Right, Katie?
That's right. Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on this morning.
All right. Our supervisor of elections out and busy. Thank you for taking time to talk with us on Free for All. So kind of give us an update. Tomorrow is the start of it all.
That's right. Early voting starts tomorrow. We have 5 locations in the county, and you can choose which one's most convenient. The Flagler County Public Library is probably everybody's favorite. And then we also have the Community Center in Palm Coast, Southern Recreation Center in Palm Coast. If you're in Flagler Beach, you can vote at the Wickline Senior Center. That's a new location. It's moved from the church in Flagler Beach. And then if you're in Bunnell or around the area, you can come here to the Supervisor of Elections office. We're in the Government Services Building. The hours are from 10 to 6 each day, including weekend days. So it'll run 8 days straight, beginning tomorrow through the 15th.
All right. And so you don't go to your regular precinct during early voting.
That's right. So early voting, you can vote anywhere you want, but on August 18th, if you want to wait to the last day to vote, which we do have, a population of voters that are traditional, they like to vote on election day. For election day, you need to find where you're going. So unless you live in, the area around the library, our most popular site, it's probably not your location. Like, for example, if you live in the R section, you don't vote at the library, I promise. So make sure you look that up before you go on election day. But for early voting, you can choose the time that's convenient for you and choose the location that's convenient for you. So voters in our county love to vote early.
So what % do vote early?
So in the presidential election, we had a tremendous early voting turnout. Over 42,000 people voted early in those 2 weeks. So we're seeing a trend moving towards early voting, definitely. Although each election's different, you really can't, even though I try to predict the future, it's hard to say. Voter behavior and how people choose to vote always kind of changes, but we'll see. I think early voting will be very popular this year.
It looks like on your website, there's a lot of results that you can already see. Some data, obviously not results of who voted for what, but it looks like there's almost 5,800 people who have already voted by mail.
Yeah, so that's our turnout for the mail ballots, right? We sent out about 15,000, and we received 5,000 back. They're still coming in.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
Hey, question texted in. Okay, your driver's license is it proof of your citizenship? Somebody wanted to know. So,
driver's license. I know that you can actually. I found out in the last couple years that you can get a driver's license if you're not a citizen. So not necessarily. We do have that data, though, for registered voters, and we that's run through the state database and everything. So the checks are done. After someone registers to vote, that information is verified through the Department of State. So we get ahead of that kind of already. So, but your driver's license itself is required to vote. A lot of people have heard about the SAVE Act. I think it was mentioned with your interview with the Congressman Randy Fine. So in Florida, you do have to show ID, photo and signature ID, in order to vote.
So the Save America Act doesn't really have much effect on Florida, right?
No, not the photo ID portion of it. We've been doing that in Florida forever. Although you'd be surprised, some people, drive around town without a driver's license and show up to early vote and don't have it, or show up on election day and don't have an ID. Makes you wonder how they get there. But
you immediately get arrested for driving without a license.
No, and so we offer them a provisional ballot if someone, for whatever reason, may not have an ID. So they can vote provisional ballot, and those are verified by office staff to make sure the person is eligible. We check the signature, and those go before the canvassing board, actually.
All right, mail-in voting. Somebody wants to mail in vote? How do they do that?
So it's too late for this election. The deadline was yesterday to request a mail ballot for the primary. But if you're going to be out of town and you expect to not be here, or have some other issue where you want to vote by mail, you can do that by requesting a ballot online, flaglerelections.gov. You can call our office. It's really easy. It takes about 2 minutes. And we send them all over the world for our military overseas, stationed overseas, and also our citizens overseas. So voting by mail in Florida is a secure way to vote. We've been doing it here for over 20 years, and a lot of people prefer it.
Okay. All right. Very good. We'll let you get back to work. Katie Lenhart, our supervisor of elections, and tomorrow early voting begins. And you can go to your awesome website, which is
flaglerelections.gov. Yeah, we hope to see a good turnout. I expect it'll be pretty busy tomorrow. Sunday is kind of a slower day, so if you didn't want to, go during a busy time, Sunday is usually a little bit quieter. And if you're wondering, what location to go to, I always tell people the location in Flagler Beach. It's a good spot. You can grab lunch, go vote early, and make sure, just whatever you do, just make sure you vote in this election. That's the most important thing. This primary election is really important for us locally, with so many local offices up for election. Some are going to be decided in August. So if you skip August and you wait till November, you missed it.
Okay. All right, Katie, thanks a lot. You have a great weekend, and appreciate all you do.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. Final comments, words of wisdom from Brian McMillan. Everybody's hanging on the edge of their seat. We'll be right back.
Congratulations, Flagler County Schools, on earning an A rating for our district. This A reflects the hard work of our teachers, students, administrators, support staff, bus drivers, and everyone who shows up for our kids every single day. I'm Rob Wood, candidate for school board, and I could not be more proud of what this community has built together. Congratulations, Flagler. You earned it. Paid for by Rob Wood for Flagler County School Board.
Palm Coast has been my home for over 40 years. I'm Tony Amaral Jr. I grew up here. My wife and I raised our kids here, and now our 2 grandchildren are growing up here too. As a local small business owner, I know what it takes to manage a budget and get things done. I'm running for Palm Coast City Council District 2 to protect our community's future. I'm Tony Amaral Jr., and I'd appreciate your vote on August 18th.
Paid for and approved by Tony Amaral Jr., candidate for Palm Coast City Council District 2.
Locals know where locals go.
Join us for the best happy hour on the beach, 7 days a week from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m.
Johnny D's Beach Bar and Grill. We're waiting for you.
Hi, I'm Christy Chong, your Flagler County School Board member for District 4. I'm proud to share that Flagler Schools has earned an A rating. With proven leadership, we're delivering excellence in education for our kids. Vote Christy Chong August 18th, and let's keep Flagler Schools moving forward. Paid for and approved by Christy Chong for Flagler School Board, District 4.
Being a landlord shouldn't feel like a second full-time job. At Serenity Realty Property Management, we handle the tenants, maintenance, and those late-night phone calls, so you can simply just enjoy your investment. Call 386-221-2255. That's Serenity Realty Property Management.
Friday nights, Under the Lights, live play-by-play on WNZF. 17 years covering Flagler Palm Coast High School. FPC and Matanzas football live play-by-play with Mike Licio. Sponsored by AK Tires, ALS Development, Arctic Breeze, Lines by Jason. Listen live on WNZF 94.9 FM and streaming worldwide at FlaglerBroadcasting.com.
Community leaders know strong schools strengthen our entire community. That's why the Flagler County Association of Realtors has endorsed Jill Woolbright for school board.
I'm Jill Woolbright. Thank you for trusting me. Throughout my 28 years as a teacher and my service on the school board, I've worked alongside parents, teachers, business leaders, and community stakeholders because student success takes all of us working together. I'd be honored to earn your vote on August 18th. Vote Jill Woolbright for School Board District 1. Paid for and approved by Jill Woolbright for School Board District 1.
On the water, beyond belief, Veranda Bay.
Hi, this is Ken Belshia at Veranda Bay, inviting you to see over 40 new, never-released home sites. VerandaBay.com.
Veranda Bay.
Are you or a loved one in need of daily living assistance, specialized care, companionship, meal prep, transportation, personal care, or even some respite? At Seniors Helping Seniors, we're here to help, providing compassionate, reliable care from those who understand. An approved provider of the VA and proudly serving all of Flagler, St. Johns, and Volusia counties, we're dedicated to helping seniors live safely and comfortably at home. Visit seniorshelpingseniors.com to learn more about our services and how we can help you or your loved one today.
Hi, I'm Trevor Tucker. As a lifelong Flagler County resident, father of 3, small business owner, and former school board member, I've spent years fighting for strong schools, responsible budgeting, and putting students first. Our community is growing, and our schools need experienced leadership that brings people together, supports teachers, and prepares our children for success. I'm asking for your vote for Flagler County School Board District 4. I'm Trevor Tucker, and I'd be honored to earn your support.
Paid for and approved by Trevor Tucker, nonpartisan candidate for Flagler County District 4.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Hi, I'm Will Furry, 2-time chair of the Flagler County Board of Education. I just want to thank you for allowing me to lead an amazing group of educators, and we've accomplished a lot together. Top-down leadership change, fiscal responsibility, and year-over-year academic gains. And I'm proud to announce that this year, for the first time in a long time, we have returned Flagler Schools to an A school district. On August 18th, re-elect Will Furry for the Flagler County School Board District 2, and remember, Will is the way to keep Flagler Schools an A. Paid for by Will Furry for School Board.
We're back Free for All Friday, and God love everybody running for office here in Flagler County, whether you vote for them or not. We have the utmost respect for everybody that cares about their community, believes in what they are doing, and I think all of our local candidates truly believe that what they're running on is what'll make it a better community.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it is pretty. It can be easy to get discouraged by the tone of what how election season goes, and if you do decide to run, it's almost like a guarantee that some people out there are going to say nasty things about you, and it's kind of I think that does scare people away from potentially running, which is really too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But
and financially, I mean, because for the most part, that you spend a lot of money out of your own pocket that you don't get reimbursed for.
Yeah, that might be less, like people may not always realize how much people spend, but what I wanted to say is there are 2 races. Katie Linhart mentioned this briefly, but there are 2 races for the school board that are going to be decided on the August 18th primary. They're not going to November. So what she said is totally right, that if you want to have a vote here, then you can't wait till November. You got to go to the primary. So District 1 is Kathy Moon and Jill Woolbright. One of them is going to be the next school board member there. And in District 2, same thing. There's only 2 candidates. So it's Will Furry and Rob Wood. Will Furry is the incumbent and Rob Wood is the challenger. It's kind of interesting that we don't have a lot of data, a lot of polling or anything like that. But one couple facts that we do see here is that what people have spent so far, and some of this could be their own loans or money raised, but Jill Woolbright has spent $17,000 or so, almost $18,000. Kathy Moon has spent about $12,000. Just kind of interesting. I don't know what you make of that, but in District 2, Rob Wood has spent about $18,000. Will Furry has spent about $10,000. There could be more spent, coming up in the next week or so. But so yeah, one of those, Moon and Woolbright, got to pick one. Furry and Wood, got to pick one.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do election return. You said you would.
Yep.
We'll do our election returns election night here live on WNZF and get the results in. And
yes, sir.
And so we appreciate that. All right, we got to go. We're over time here. Thank you, Congressman Randy Fine. He's going to be all out and about around town here in Flagler County this weekend. And so if you want to find out where he is, I don't know, but I'm sure you go to his website and it'll show you something like that. Anyway, thanks, Mark. Like I've never done this before. There we go. There's our music. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday on Free for All.